Welcome to the Buddhistisches Tor Berlin podcast. Join us for live recordings from classes, insightful talks, and guided meditations.
So, all right. I just want to say a little bit about puja. Then this sentence that's in our little puja, I'll say what puja is in a minute, and then talk about stages of the path later on. So here we go. So puja. If anybody had dropped in last night at 7 o'clock, we had a double meditation and a threefold puja here in the centre. It's our secret class. Jakub just asked about it. He said, it's not publicised. No, it's not. It's our secret class, our Friday night meditation. We honestly, when we advertised it, any Tom, Dick and Harry came, and people who didn't know how to meditate came, and it was awful. So you only know about it by being part of this Sangha, this community. So it's our secret class. Right, and we do a double meditation and a threefold puja. So what is puja? It's a devotional practice. It's usually got words, maybe honouring aspects of Buddhism, the Buddha, disciples, the teachings. It could have mantras in it. And literally it means worship. Puja means worship. But in Buddhism, there is no being or thing which has power over you. There's no sort of creator God. So it's a completely different concept of worship. And we sort of look for the beauty, or we honour something. That's what we're looking for. You could even change the word from worship to worthship. You know, it's like you're honouring the worth of something. And I was just checking out with Shiraz, because I once heard that children in the morning might offer puja to their parents, yes? And so they're sort of, it's a sort of a sign of gratitude and honouring. So that gives you a feeling of this word puja. So we do puja, and no, the Buddha's not going to send you to hell. All right? Doesn't happen. he can just show the way. That's all he can. So this is puja. All right? Okay. I've been reciting this threefold puja for a long time. I love it. I mean, I love things which are really short. And this is about 6 or 7 minutes, the threefold puja. There was a period where I used to do it at bedtime. You know, I'd just go into bed, I put a pillow on my bed, sit there, do the threefold puja. I'd sleep better. I should start it again. I don't know why I stopped, you know. But it's only 5 or 6 minutes. And, you're honouring the Buddha, his teaching, and the followers. Okay? But the other week, I was leading it here, or actually it was about 2 months ago. I was doing the threefold puja here, and this line in the puja just jumped out and hit me. You know? I went, what? I've been reciting that for 45 years without noticing what it meant. Okay? And basically the line was, the truth in all its aspects, the path in all its stages. I didn't notice it. The truth in all its aspects, the path in all its stages. It's all of Buddhism in one sentence. It's all there. And in fact, the Buddha, he called it Dharma Vinaya. Dharma Vinaya. Dharma are all the truths. All the truths. Things are impermanent. There's no essential self. There's no sort of, you can't find a kernel, some sort of heart of a self in there. It's all sort of process. Life ultimately is disappointing. That is one of these truths. So that's what the Dharma was. The truth in all its aspects. They're just truths. Yeah. Things are impermanent, blah, 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 blah. Then the next part is the Vinaya, the practices you do in order to see these truths. All right? So the Buddha, he never had a word like Buddhism, you know. These isms, they're all quite modern. The English words, communism, capitalism, Buddhism, yeah. Buddhismus, Kapitalismus in Deutsch, yeah. But none of this is in ancient India. Instead, it's Dharma Vinaya, the truth and the path. Yeah. So that's what the Buddha called it. So there we go. Totally lost where I am. Fantastic. What I like about puja is it really does change your mental states. It really is a very, very effective way of doing it. A little bit odd to us to be reciting verses and chanting mantras. But in my experience, it's very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. And the beauty of doing that is if you can change your mental state, you change your world. You change the world you live in. You'll perceive the world in a different way. And one of my first experiences, I remember visiting this Buddhist community. This is 1977. Little 23-year-old John Toomey walking up the hill to this Buddhist community. And I'm in the front room. It's springtime. And this fella came in. He was another visitor. And he came and he moaned and he moaned and he moaned, really complaining. He said, all the litter in the street, all the dirt is disgusting. It should be swept. It should be cleaned. We'd come up the same road. I hadn't really noticed it, but he had. He's living in a world of litter and dirt. And okay, fine. He sat down. And then this community member, he came in and he just come up the same road. And he said, have you seen the almond blossom out there? You know? That one was in hell and one was in heaven. It was the same street. Yeah? And the little 23-year-old, wow. I was very impressed. So that's what we're sort of doing with our meditations and our rituals. Yeah? We're changing our mind, which then changes the world that we're in. Okay? So, all right. And just to say, the threefold puja, just that first verse, yeah, just to give it to you, it starts off, so you know what I'm talking about, those who've never come across a puja before. The first verse is, we reverence the Buddha, the perfectly enlightened one, the shower of the way. Okay, straightforward. The Buddha, enlightened, shows the way. We reverence the Dharma, that's his teaching, yeah? We reverence the Dharma, the teaching of the Buddha, which leads from darkness to light. Fair enough. Good. We reverence the Sangha, the fellowship of the Buddha's disciples that inspires and guides. So that's the first verse, and it gives you a feel of where we're going. All right. So, yes. So this word Dharma, it means truth. It means reality. Yeah. And it also means the teachings. Yes. And we honor it. We follow it. Good. Now, the puja, it did go on. What did it say? Have I got it? Yeah. It says, yeah, that's right. I have to do it from memory. I've lost it myself in my notes. The truth in all its aspects, the path in all its stages, we aspire to study, practice, and realize. But it says with body, speech, and mind. Now, this is a bit of an odd concept for Westerners, with body, speech, and mind. What it's saying is we're going to approach the Dharma in a whole way with all of us. Yeah? And Buddhism tends to analyze people in terms of body, speech, and mind. So, you feel positive about somebody. You give them some flowers. That's an expression on the bodily level, yeah? Or you say, you look good today. That's on the verbal, yeah? Or you think, I like them, yeah? So this is body, speech, and mind manifesting. And we also, it can be the negative. You give somebody a punch on the nose, not very good. You know, say something mean, they won't forget that. Think bad thoughts, yeah? So we look at this body, speech, and mind, and they all have different consequences. And of course, the physical is quite serious, yeah? So that's what we look at. And we intend to reflect on these things, because we had an expression when I was a kid, head bangers. They don't use that expression today, do they? Head bangers? No, they're people who really study and, theorize, but it's just a head. It's just a head. Talk philosophy all night, every night, yeah? But it's just a head. What did the Chinese call it? Dragon's head, snake's body. Yeah? You see this amazing dragon. When you look around the back, there's just a little snake, a little worm. So they're a great intellect, but there's nothing there. So what we're working with in Buddhism is to involve the whole being, trying to bring it all along. And it's great. With the head, we get the ideas. I'm being a bit literal, yeah? We get the ideas. But our job on the path is for these ideas to sink down into our emotions. Yeah? Yeah? So, okay, you do your metta bhavana. We did that last week. We'll do it next week, developing kind wishes. But if we're not actually then being generous, it didn't work. It has to sink into us. And that is the spiritual life, You see these great ideas. Now we have to manifest them. Good. So, great. Yeah, no idea where I am. Okay. So, yes. And, right. When I was, back before 1977, I'd be with my mates, and, we all smoked dope. Yeah, we were all depressed, You come round, doc, 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 how are you depressed? Come in, cups of coffee. We're all depressed. Our music was depressing. Bob Dylan, Joan Baez. Yeah? Jesus. It's much better today, yeah? But it was all about, how bad the world was and everything. So that was us. And, we'd be reading our Sufism. I remember reading about, Gurdjieff and Uspensky, these sort of great mystics, Middle East, and Uspensky from... We were doing all that, the Hindu stuff, Sri Chinmoy, great. And then this saying came out, very nice saying. When the disciple is ready, the master will appear. So we're all waiting. And waiting. And waiting. And it was sometime later, I thought, he's not appeared. And then, uniquely, I did the logical step of, if he's not appeared, then we're not ready. None of my mates did that thought, Yeah, they just carried on waiting. So I thought, I've got to get ready. So down the library, going through all the books, and that led me, it was great, I read a book by a Catholic priest on Zen, and you could see him stealing Buddhism at every sentence, But it got me in the right direction. Then I went to W.H. Smith's, a bookshop, and got a book on meditation, yeah? And I was away, yeah? And I remember thinking, this is the first good thing that's happened in my life. It was pranayama practice, which if I'd done sincerely could have killed me, yeah? All these yoga practices, they're deadly, but we don't do it with any heart, so it's okay, We're so half-hearted, it doesn't hurt us, yeah? But pranayama is dodgy stuff, yeah? One of Bante's teachers says it puts 1,000 people in mental hospitals a year in India, pranayama. Dodgy stuff. That's why we don't control the breath, yeah? So there we go. But, so I came across Buddhism, and away I went. I found the Buddhist center, knocked on the door, and I was in. Yeah, very good. And so it all began. Great. What I want to now add to that was, okay, that saying did not work. When the disciple is ready, the master will appear. That didn't work, okay? Maybe a little bit. But what does work is when you're ready, the teachings appear. That is astonishing. You can come across a teaching and it's rubbish. It's odd. And out of forbearance, you accept it. For me, it was the Four Noble Truths. Yeah, I had the Four Noble Truths. It's the center of Buddhism. I had the Four Noble Truths there for years. There is suffering, it has a cause, there's the cessation and the Eightfold Path to lead to its end. Great, And it meant nothing. Nothing. And I remember it would be about 11, 12 years later, I was in Southampton University, and I had a little Buddhist group there. And this young woman, she said, is it true that if you escape from suffering, that suffering goes to somebody else? It doesn't sound right. doesn't sound too good, you know. I said, let's analyze it. There was a group of about 14 of us there. I said, okay, so there's suffering in your life. Why is there suffering? Obviously, some conditions have given rise to the suffering, yeah? And I said, so if we get rid of these conditions, the suffering cannot exist. It's sustained by the conditions. It hasn't gone round the corner. It doesn't exist. And I explained this to this young woman, and then in front of the whole class, I did it twice. I went, They all looked, I went, I had suddenly understood the Four Noble Truths for the first time ever. I'd said it in my words. There is suffering, it has a cause. When the cause ceases, the suffering ceases, yeah? But I'd done it in my words, trying to explain to and it was like it took 11, 12 years for that teaching to arrive, you know? And this is what sort of happened to me in that puja the other day. The truth in all its aspects, the path in all its stages. I went, that's Dharma Vinaya. Clever old Sangha actually, because he wrote that puja, all right? So let's have a little look inside. Okay, the truth in all its aspects. Well, there are many truths in life. There really are truths, many, many absolute universal truths. Science will tell you, you know, electrostatic forces are all over the universe. Gravity, you know, it's holding all the planets, you know, it's universe. It's a truth. Great, fantastic. There's these truths, and they're everywhere, yeah? They're sort of scientific truths. Buddhism has the Buddha picked out some different truths, so the scientific truths are great, yeah? We can, you know, make non-stick frying pans and things like that. It's wonderful, good, good, yeah? But the Buddhist truths, what we're interested in, they're about liberation, yeah? It's about spiritual problems. And the truths that the Buddha was interested in is that everything is impermanent. Everything is impermanent, yeah? You might say, ha, 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 but diamonds are forever. That's the film, isn't it? It's the movie, yeah. They're not. And in fact, you can actually set fire to a diamond with an ordinary schoolroom Bunsen burner, yeah? You know, you can destroy a diamond, you can make carbon dioxide out of a diamond, brilliant. And the hammer test, I got this book on diamonds once. It said the hammer test, you know, if you hit it with a hammer, if it survives, it's a diamond. Rubbish. It said it destroys countless beautiful gems. You know, with the hammer test, it just destroys diamonds, yeah? So don't do that one either. So, no, everything is impermanent. All right, good. Nothing has an essential self. Now, you're going to have to just keep meditating and try and find a self, yeah? Just go, you try and find a self. It's quite hard, yeah? No luck yet. You'll find all these voices behind voices, you know. You'll find these dialogues in there. Shall I have a cup of tea? No, I don't know. I need to go to the loo on the way, though. Yeah, but there's a toilet at the centre. I can have a cup of tea. Yeah, no, all right. So we do, there's all these chattering away in there, making decisions and all the rest. The only time I think there is a self is when you sit on a pin. Suddenly there's a pin up your backside and suddenly there's a self. You go, ouch, you know? but I don't know if that's a true self, all right? So there we go. But yeah. And the third one is that life ultimately disappoints, yeah? And, okay, we'll have to reflect on that one. But it is a bit of a bummer. I mean, I have to say, I really think this, it was my birthday the other week. I'm 70, it's bloody amazing. That's why I couldn't write the talk. I'm getting too knackered, getting too tired. But this, I think, is the best time of my life. I think it's never been this good. And it's to do with this class and things like that, yeah. But then you start thinking, Jesus, I'm going to have to say goodbye to it, you know. How long will I live now, you know? And you feel this, you know, this So it is. It does it does disappoint. And the Buddha called these three insights the three lakshanas, the three signs. Okay, good. So that was it. The truth in all its aspects. These three marks. The path in all its stages. And I had some fun while you were meditating just now. I had so little sleep last night that I went down and tried to have a little sleep on the couch in the cellar just now. Yeah, my feet were frozen, but never mind. And I was thinking about this, the path in all its stages. I didn't sleep. And there's a couple of ways of looking at the path, the Buddhist path, the spiritual path, yeah? One is you can look at the practices, yeah? That would be the spiritual path, the metta bhavana, the mindfulness of breathing, being ethical, yeah? Or you could look at the various stages that you achieve, yeah? How far you've got. It's two ways of looking at the path. And I was trying to think of a simile, and I thought, well, I'm going to make a journey. So he goes, here's the bike. So that's the practices. And here's the map. That's the path, yeah? And it's a bit like that, yeah? So one is, you know, you're looking at it, oh, yes, Hermannplatz, Sudstern, Gneisenaustrasse, yeah? And, yeah, great, it's a map to enlightenment. Fantastic. It's just a map. It's just a map. The bike's what's going to do it, yeah? So this is like two ways of approaching the Dharma, the practices, yeah? The list of all the destinations. And today, I mean, normally when we talk about the path, I love to talk about the threefold path. What is the threefold path? That's a question for the room. Please, somebody, what is the threefold path? Ethics. What else? Meditation and wisdom. Yo, learn that. Yeah. I said to my teacher one day, Sangha, he'd just given a talk. He was exhausted, just been talking for 2 hours, and he was like, I said, Bhante, you know, I'm seeing members of the Western Buddhist order. Oh, excuse the label. Dharma Sara just stuck that on me. He found it on a packet of sweets in the office. That's my name. So, yeah. Yeah. I said, Bhante, you know, all these order members are all going off getting these Tibetan practices and this, that, and the other. It's all very exotic. I said, for me, I think the threefold path is enough. And he went quiet. And he was tired, and his whole body went backwards, and suddenly he went, it's enough! Right. And it is amazing. So, and I don't want to go into it, it's for another course, but the ethics, how you act, acting ethically, sensible ethics, yeah? It's not about condoms and crap like that. It's about how decent you are, yeah? You know, how good your heart is, helping people, not hurting people, yeah? It's a normal, universal ethics, yeah? Meditation, that was the second one, yeah? How you meditate, your metta bhavana, your mindfulness of breathing, yeah? And then wisdom, these three marks of existence, reflecting on the impermanence of things. And with all of that comes an incredible awakening, freedom, Buddhahood. So we have the threefold path. That's enough on that. Could have gone into that. We didn't. Joke. We got the eightfold path. Yeah, it's the same path, but it's in more detail. Yeah, that's the eightfold path goes into more detail. I needn't say more. Great. And then we got the stages of the path. Okay. And, oh, of course, just to say something, the path, it's, how are we for time? It's a metaphor, isn't it? It's a metaphor. There's not literally a path, you know, it's a metaphor. And we use this, it's very good. Why do we use the path as a metaphor? Well, when we go on a journey, I remember as a kid, I was 16, we'd just done our exams, and a mate of mine and I, we decided to cycle to Cornwall. The bikes were rubbish. The tent was an old ex-army tent, saucepans, pots, bang. We cycled 1,000 kilometres there, you know, to the furthest part of Great Britain and back to London. No, it was a journey. It was mythical, yes, and you changed during it. And I just an aside. An aside here. Sometimes in your job you can get too stressed and too tired, and you think I need a holiday. In my experience, the most healing thing that you can do is a solitary walking holiday. 5 days in beautiful countryside is amazing. And I remember doing this years ago, and in fact I took this very book with me, a little bit of inspiration in the morning, read a paragraph, it's so dense, that's enough, yeah? And off you go, you pack up your tent, and off you go. I was going around the Welsh coast with the seas, the cormorants, sitting there, you know, the seagulls. It was amazing, yeah? And I could see my mental states. I was going, in 3 days, you're going to be fine. I could see that. And in 3 days, I was fine. It's so fast. That's nothing to do with the talk, but I wanted to put it in. One bizarre little thing. We have in England this little rhyme. If you a magpie, Elster in Deutsch, yeah, the black and white bird, yeah. If you see one, it will bring sorrow. If you see two, it'll bring joy. So there's this whole verse: 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for a girl, 4 for a boy, 5 for silver, 6 for gold. And it goes on like this, you know. And sometimes you see loads of magpies. But I decided to change it years ago, that if I see one magpie, I'll practice mindfulness. If I see 2, I'll practice metta. Yeah? And on this, the time of year, it was all solitary magpies. And I remember one morning seeing 9 in a row. I was getting so mindful. It was getting too much, you know. And with the bits of Dharma at the beginning, they're the metaphor and the reality. It was all one. It was a spiritual path, you know, and it was a journey. So there we go. And yes, and the path, it's in history. It's mythical. You know, Jason and the Argonauts, Odysseus trying to get home after the Trojan wars with the Cyclops and the Sirens. This myth of the journey is very strong in us. Okay. So I just wanted to mention that a little bit. Okay. So, the path. The stages of the path. Sangha, actually, he came across an obscure teaching called the 12 positive nidanas. Okay? You try and find that in Buddhist texts. It's not easy. It's really not. I actually did find one, and I thought, amazing. This is the 12 nidanas. And I'm going through it. I thought, this is very familiar. God, these are images I'd use. It was my talk that I gave 20 years ago that some bhikkhu had stolen and printed it up without my name. But that was the only one I could find. Yeah, weird. So let's have a little look at them. So the 12 positive nidanas, and it starts off strangely with a sad one. It starts off with dukkha. Dukkha means unsatisfactoriness. Yeah. So people have an experience of dukkha, and I did. You know, all us depressed hippies as we were, you know. Life was unsatisfactory. It didn't work. We don't need to go into... Do we need to go into details? I mean, why is life unsatisfactory? First of all, it can just hurt. You know, you get a bad back. Ouch. You fall off your bike. Ouch. You know. You could be a bit depressed. You could be separated from your boyfriend or girlfriend for too long. You know? Or you could be working with somebody you hate. You know, and life is not very nice. Yeah, it chucks all these things at us. Yeah, and then at the end of it all, the Buddha. It's not just the Buddha. I think the German Goethe in his Faust. Yeah, in Faust, I think doesn't the devil offer Faust? The devil wants his soul, doesn't he? And Faust says, well, you can have it if you can find something satisfactory for me. And the devil's finding all these things for them, and nothing satisfies. Yeah, nothing earthly satisfies. Now, this is interesting because the spiritual is not earthly. It's something else. And sometimes that can be the ache that we want something higher, something different, something that's not in this world. That's the spiritual life. And we can find it. Sorry, just tell you that. So what happens? You know, you're having a rough time. You may hear about a meditation class. You see some Buddhist talk on YouTube or something. You go, oh, it's quite good, it's quite good, you know. And you go to the centre. They're very friendly. They're very nice. You know, don't seem to want all my money yet, you know. And yeah. You know, and you sort of start growing a confidence in this community. You start doing the mindfulness of breathing, the metta bhavana, and I hope it's happened to you. You do the metta bhavana, and people at work say, "Oh, you look well. What are you doing? What are you doing?" You know, that it actually has an effect. Yeah, it changed. And I used to have this thing. My girlfriend, I said she had a problem person, and I said to her, 14 days metta bhavana with your enemy in every day, yes? And it worked for her, yeah? And so when I was having a crap time, she said, 14 days metta bhavana every day for you, yeah? And it worked. But that's an emergency one. If you're absolute, you know, you can't get rid of your boss. You know, 14 days metta bhavana, just have a look what happens. And sometimes the boss comes in, he's quite nice. You think, what happened there? That's magic. That's voodoo. That's voodoo. How did he become nice, you know? So there we go. So faith starts right. You get this confidence growing in the Dharma. And we do use the word faith, which is a horrible, it's not, it's an emotional word. That's why we use it. But it's not like Christian faith, yeah? Or other faiths, you know. Blind faith, there's no place for that in Buddhism, absolutely none, yeah? And I wrote down, I found this, I actually went to find what the Buddha himself said. He said, when the Buddha gives a teaching, yeah, he says, you take the teaching and you test your experience as the goldsmith tests gold with fire. O bhikshus and wise men, just as a goldsmith would test his gold by burning, cutting, and rubbing it, so you must examine my words, and then, if it works, you then accept them. Yeah? So that's it. And I went onto YouTube to find out about testing gold with fire. Yeah? And apparently, with one of these, yeah, you can test if something's got gold plate or not. Yeah? And if it's got gold plate and you hold this on it for a minute, yeah, you damage it. You've ruined it, yeah? So don't do it. But if it's real gold, it all goes black and then you wash it off and it's perfect. Gold absolutely can stand that. My research for this talk, yes? But that's the spirit of testing the words that the Buddha gave you. And the Buddha did say, he said, you have three things. He said, you have the experience of the wise, that's him. You have your experience, and you have reason. And you bring these three together. Yeah? You bring the three together. You match your experience against the Buddha's experience. Does it work? Because sometimes, who's to say that the Buddha's teachings got down to us undamaged? You know, you have to check they've had 2,500 years of a journey. And some of them might be nonsense, yeah? And even the Buddha himself said, look, you know, you can ignore all the minor rules, you know, keep the main ones. And they forgot to ask him what the main ones were. So they kept, this is true, so they kept the lot, you know. But that was a mistake, yeah? So there we go. All right. So that was it. So yes. Confidence begins to arise. And it's Shraddha is the word we use for. I just use the word Shraddha all the time now, really, rather than confidence or faith. And it's a great thing because it's built on experience, but it can actually. There's a number of ways that Shraddha can arise. It can arise purely by intuition. I'm trying to think of an example. Yeah, me turning up at the first Buddhist centre. I was home. I walked in, I'm home. You know, 23-year-old, yeah, I'm home, you know. And when you hear life stories, some people said it was like swimming from a shipwreck to an island, yeah? Many others say it was coming home, yeah? Yeah, I mean, this past life stuff. I mean, sadly, I believe in it totally. I was so skeptical, but you start talking to 3-year-old kids, that's spooky. That's the best source, you know. I mean, this what was her name? Lucy Jennett. She was a 3-year-old in the back of the car. The family's driving along. She goes, oh, look, she said, a Morris Oxford. I had one of those. A 3-year-old knew the make and the model of a car. You only do that if you owned one, you know. And she said she was a secretary and she worked here and this, that, and the other. That was Louise Jenny. I asked her about it, you know, years later. Lucy McSherry, she was actually 3.5 when I actually talked to her. And her mum said when she got angry with her, she'd look at her and she'd go, "My other mother's better than you." Imagine saying that to your mum, you know. And she told her where she worked and this and that. But she, at 3.5, all the memories started fading. So this is my sort of thing. But my lovely younger brother, who I love so much, he said to me only last year, he said when he was 1 year old, about a year old, he remembers my mother changing his nappies. He's got the earliest memories. But he remembers looking at the family, looking at me and going, "Oh, I know this one." And nobody can explain the bond between us, you know. But it's crazy, isn't it? But he's a Buddhist, you know, so am I. Who knows? There we are. But so that's sort of intuition. It can be through experience. You do the Metta Bhavana, you feel better. It worked. You can't mess up the Metta Bhavana. You can't get it wrong. You can do it upside down, do it back to front, you know, still works, yeah? You know, cultivating. The mindfulness is different. You can really damage yourself with that one. Sorry, but all right, okay. Now, we had a fella on retreat who would not do the Metta Bhavana, this young man. He would only do the mindfulness. Every meditation, he just did the mindfulness, the mindfulness, the mindfulness. And in the end, he could see what was wrong with everybody. Only that. You know, and that's the world he created, yeah? It's real Hans Christian Andersen, where the devil creates a mirror where everything good is not reflected and everything evil is exaggerated, you know? It's the beginning of the iced snow cream, yeah. But there we go. So, but the metta, it works. So in experience it works. And then, yeah. What were the three things? Intuition and reason. And reason. You think it through, it's logical, it works. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, good. Yeah, I won't be critical of others. Okay, so I'm not going to go through the whole 12 nidanas. It's just not fair. We've only got about 8 minutes left. But just look at a few of them. So, what I have discovered with Shraddha is it's pleasant. It's pleasant. You can be in a crap situation and feel okay. You know, you go in, I remember going into a restaurant, I was asked to go in, they're all fighting, there'd been a fist fight, a Buddhist restaurant, you know, yeah. It was not good, young men together under one roof, yeah. I was asked to go in and sort of be the peacekeeper, and I walked in, "We hate you," straight away, you know, "Wish you hadn't come," yeah. But it was horrible, but I felt I was riding on this monorail of Shraddha. I was fine. I was really fine. It was great. Positive experience, good. So Shraddha is pleasant, yeah? It's infectious. You know, if you're losing a bit of confidence, I go back to the life of the Buddha. Some of the stories are dead funny. And you just pick it up. You spend time with people who have Shraddha. It's just as its opposite is infectious. I don't like to talk about that much. This lack of confidence, it's called vicikitsa. It's this poisonous doubt. Yeah, and that's just as infectious. I mentioned a German group once, and I said vicikitsa, and somebody said, vicikitsa, you know. But it's nasty stuff, you know. You say, oh, you know, let that go. It just destroys your confidence. This is the opposite. Shraddha is great. Because somebody with this lovely natural confidence, they come into the room, and everybody feels better. The false confidence, you're all waiting for them to tread on a banana skin or something, aren't you? You know, you're going, yeah. You know, they're all looking confident, and you just want them to fall, you know. But it undermines. But no, this is the real deal. So, all right, so with Shraddha, and they've got all these fancy words now. So pamoja arises. I'm going to go through these quickly, which is delight. So you're doing your practices, delight starts arising. You keep practicing, and then priti arises, or piti, yeah, which is rapture, ecstasy. And you get it certainly in the early stages of meditation. You're sitting there meditating, and suddenly your spine goes, wee, you know, your spine goes straight up. That's priti, yeah, rapture. Yeah, it's quite ordinary, but there it is, yeah? It can be a bit of a pain in the neck when people start bouncing around the room. Have you ever come across that? I got hit by somebody on the knee once. They were getting their priti and they bounced and hit me, you know? It's a bit stupid because who is it? The Transcendental Meditation, yeah? You can go onto YouTube and they advertise levitation, yeah? They're doing that. And there's a film of it, yeah? And it's just pretty. And they're all bouncing in the air off their cushions, yeah? It's not really levitation. You know, they don't get very high, you know? But, okay. And you don't want it. You don't want to be bouncing around the room. It's when your chakras are a bit blocked, you'll go, you know. And I've seen a Buddhist center where that became the fashion. So they're all doing, It's rubbish, you know. The energy should go through you, lift you up a bit. And sometimes it gets strong and the hairs stand up, yeah. And there's all these degrees of rapture. But I've never come across anybody who can actually genuinely levitate historically, except when you go to the Christian tradition, where you get Teresa of Avila, 15th century Spanish saint, and the nuns would have to try and hold her down. And you get these statues called the Ecstasy of St. Teresa. Of course, the sculpture only knows sexual ecstasy, so she's going, you know. But she and Ayakema has read her diaries, and Ayakema says she's found 7 of the superconscious states. There are 8, but Teresa of Avila notes down 7. So that's amazing, you know. So she did float, all right. It's not really advantageous, you know. We got ladders and chairs. Anyway, yeah. don't really. You're going to paint the ceiling. Just, you know, get a trestle in, you know, good. So that's rapture. Amazing. It can be a bit rough, but great stuff. Then prashrabdi comes, this calmness. You go a little bit above the rapture, and this is better. You're actually containing it. You're containing it, and it goes smoother and quieter, yeah? Because it's rough stuff, yeah? Then sukha arises, and this is bliss. And I was explaining this in Southampton once at the university there, and this lovely Ashoka, this, was he Sinhalese? This lawyer studying law in Southampton University, and after he goes, Lalitaratna, Lalitaratna. You're translating sukha and priti as bliss and rapture. These are spiritual words. You cannot translate these words. And I believe him. I absolutely believe him. You know, that his experience of Priti and Sukha was totally different to my experience of rapture and bliss. You know, that's lovely. I just mentioned that, yeah. So Sukha arises, and this is like a pleasantness throughout the body. Very nice. I just say very nice. The rapture is a bit wee. The bliss is through your body. It's nice, all of you, yeah? And these are the factors in dhyana, yeah? These are the factors in the dhyana. But as you go up through the dhyanas, the poor old rapture has to go. It's too rough. You leave it behind. Okay, good. So, all right. I was going to say the benefits of doing the metta bhavana. Yeah. Can you remember any of them, please? What are the benefits of doing the metta bhavana, please? This man's an expert, yeah?
Three of them are related to sleep. One will sleep peacefully, one will wake up peacefully,
Yeah.
and one will not have bad dreams.
You won't. So these are the benefits of the metta bhavana, yeah? Any others you can remember?
The other 3 are relationship. You will be admired, loved, respected by human beings, non-human beings, and the heavenly beings.
Yeah.
That's 6. The 4 of them are related to protection.
Yeah.
You won't be tortured. You won't be harmed by poison.
Yeah.
weapons,
Yeah.
And water or fire. And the last one is after you are dead, you will be reborn in Brahma or Brahma.
Yes. If you don't have insight, if you didn't go for something else, you'll get reborn as Brahma. And there's one other I've got, because I've got the list here, yeah? You die unconfused. And that's lovely, because I live with a geriatric doctor, and what you don't realise is that not only does the body break up as you die, so does the brain. So lots of people are in a right mess at the time of death, yeah? But, I mean, our teacher died beautifully, the Buddha died beautifully. I mean, I can see people in history, you know, William Blake, beautiful death, singing hymns on his deathbed. You know, you can have a fine death. Metta Bhavana, just a little plug for the Metta Bhavana. Very good. Thank you. Thanks, Shiraz. Lovely. I know he's our expert. Yeah. Good. So, all right. So the meditation's really working now. I'm going to pull it into an end now. Yes. And we get to the 8th one. And I used to practice this. Yata Bhuta Jnana Dasana. Isn't that a fantastic word? Yata Bhuta Jnana Dasana. Dasana, my girlfriend, she comes here, she'll be here next week, Sangha Darshan. It's like, Sangha said they used to practice Darshan in India. This guru would just sit on this couch and about 400 people would come in and sit and look at him. It's taking Darshan. And this guru would sit there, possibly in 4th dhyana, radiating peace and love down the room and everybody just bathing in it. Isn't that amazing? Not a word, just love flowing down a room. So that's darshan. So jnana darshana. So it's seeing, yeah. Jnana. It's got a gnu in it. Whenever there's a gnu, it's wisdom. You know, gnosis, knowledge. They're all, you know. So it's got. And it translates as knowledge and vision of things as they really are. Number 8, you've purified yourself, you've purified your consciousness, you've got good karma going, you've got a focused mind, yeah? And then you reflect on reality and you see things as they really are. And you see how topsy-turvy our world is. You know? We go for stupid things and think they're beautiful. You know, we ignore beautiful things thinking they're stupid. You know, this is how we go through the world. Our world is topsy-turvy. That's how the Buddha says. He said they're all mad. The Buddha did say that. All prathajanas are crazy. You know, that's us lot, yeah? Below stream entry. And what happens as you enter this phase, the transcendental arises, whatever that is. I'm not going to tell you because I don't know, yeah? The transcendental arises, you are now irreversibly on the path to enlightenment. You are a stream entrant. Yata Bhuta Jnana Dasana. And Sangha actually believes that everybody who comes into contact with this movement, certainly, could become a stream entrant in this lifetime. Irreversibly on the path to enlightenment. That's for us, yeah? You do it quickly or slowly, up to you, all right? Good. Then they just roll on Nibbida. That's like you can't get excited about life too much anymore. You're having a good time, but, you know, all the advertising things, you go, no thanks, you know. Do I really need a Ferrari? Yeah? No. Dispassion. The text says you become like a mountain. You're a mountain. You can't be touched. And you see that in the life of the Buddha. Somebody's so envious of the Buddha, he unleashes a bull elephant to kill the Buddha. There's this mad elephant. He's chained up, so they unleash him where the Buddha's walking. And this elephant comes charging towards the Buddha, and the Buddha just does the Metta Bhavana. And it says, Tusker met Tusker, you know. The Buddha, love. The elephant, And I told that story the other week about me and the Rottweilers, didn't I? Have you heard it? Yeah? Just these 2 Rottweilers, they were guarding this building site in Essen in Germany. And it was late at night, and there was a chain link fence, and these 2 Rottweilers, they saw me, and they came screaming up to the fence, you know, and I would, oh, you lovely boys, you lovely, lovely boys. And these dogs went, huh? You know, and eventually they're licking my finger through the chain guard, you know. We're the best of friends, yeah? We've fallen in love, yeah? So it's your choice, you know, don't respond with fear, but there we go. I'm not a Buddha, don't worry. I'm not a stream entrant either, but I don't think so. But you can respond with love, you know, to these things. Vimutti, liberation, and akshaya kayanana. You know that you've destroyed all the negative things in your life. And it's an odd thing in Buddhism. They have it as a stage on its own. On the night that the Buddha got enlightened, 3 things happened. 1, he saw his past lives, remembered his name and everything, yeah? 2, he saw the effects of karma. He saw it all. And 3, he knew he was a Buddha. It's not enough to be a Buddha. You've got to know you're a Buddha. You know, and that's the same thing here. It's the knowledge that you've destroyed the biases. So there we go. So that's the talk. We've run out of time. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Great.